Hello children, we are starting geography. After long you are studying, continuously you are studying history, civics. Okay, so now we are studying geography chapter 3, Our Changing Earth. In previous lessons of geography you learn about environment, meaning of environment, components of environment and inside the earth. In that also you learn about the different layers of the earth, rocks. So now you also heard about that the earth is changing because of different force working on it. So in this chapter you will learn that why these forms is keep on changing, landforms are keep on changing, what are the different reasons, what are the factors behind it. So that you will learn in this chapter. So let us start this chapter. Actually in this chapter first they have given earth movement, that changing, they divided into the two factors, endogenic forces and exogenic forces, that we will learn. Then in next phase you will learn about volcano, meaning of volcano, how volcanoes occurred, with the help of one very interactive video. Second topic is earthquake, and then you will learn about different landforms, major landform. Here it is, major landforms, because of river, because of sea waves, ice and wind. So these are the topics that you are going to learn in this chapter. So let us start this chapter, Our Changing Earth. Okay, before we start with this main content, just have a look on this activity. Take a small colored paper palette and put it in a beaker half filled with water. Place the beaker on the tripod stand and heat it. You must have seen this arrangement in lab. As the water warms up, you will observe that the paper pellet is moving upward along with the warm layer of water and then sink back along with the cooler layers of water. Right? So that here through this activity you will come to know that what happen when heat and pressure increase inside this vessel with the warm layers of water and then sink back along with the cooler layers of water. The molten magma inside the earth moves in a similar manner. Right? In previous chapter also we learn how rock forms. Molten magma cools down outside the earth, inside the earth, and then different types of rocks are found. Different minerals are also found from that cooling down of molten magma. So through this activity you come to know about that as heat increase, pressure increase. So how it comes up, how it float, how it started upwards and then how it sink down. So let us start this chapter. So what is there in this chapter? The lithosphere is broken into a number of plates known as lithospheric plate. Right? First, we are talking about that uppermost layer, the lithosphere, the lithospheric plate. It actually this lithosphere is broken into number of plates. Right? If you see that horizontal section of this lithospheric plate, lithosphere, you will find that different plates. You will be surprised to know that these plates move around very slowly, right? And now because you all are connected with the internet, you are connected with the latest technology and information, you are very well known this fact that all these plates keep on moving, but this movement is so slowly we cannot experience this, just a few millimeter each year. This is because of the movement of the molten magma inside the earth. And why these lithospheric plates they move? Because of molten magma. The molten magma inside the earth moves in a circular manner. As you all know that earth is in a round shape. So this inside this molten magma is also keep on moving in a circular manner. And as it move on, then it will give pressure and pressure to the lithospheric plate, and in that pressure plate will move. The movement of this plate cause changes on the surface of the earth. Right? It is not only that just movement will happen and then occur again it will be stopped. Right? Because of this movement of the plate, that there are light changes in the surface of the earth. Right? Obviously, all of a sudden we cannot notice that yesterday the landform was like this and today it is like this, tomorrow it will be like this. No, but these all changes are so gradual that we cannot notice, but on a long span of time this change can be occurred. These earth movements are divided on the basis of the force which caused them, right? And along with this pressure from inside, there are various forces also acted on this lithospheric plate. The forces which act in the interior of the earth are called endogenic forces, and forces that work on the surface of the earth are called exogenic forces. Keep in mind these two types of force act on the earth's surface. Two types of force: the force which act in the interior of the earth, from the inside the earth it act, that is called endogenic force, and some kind of forces which act on the surface of the earth, they are called exogenic forces. You can see in this table endogenic forces and exogenic forces. Because of endogenic forces, what happen? Sudden forces. Endogenic forces always suddenly occur on the from the inside the earth. We can say that endogenic forces there are two types of endogenic forces: sudden force, diatrophic forces. In sudden force, we can experience earthquake, volcano, landslides, and in diatrophic forces, building mountain. Gradually, this is not a so sudden, gradually slow force acting on the earth's surface. The second one is exogenic forces, erosional and depositional activities. Because of exogenic force, because it acts on the surface of the earth, you will find some erosion, some deposition. Right? So there are different factors related to these exogenic forces are river, wind, sea waves and glaciers that we will see in this chapter. Endogenic forces sometimes produce sudden movements and at the other times produce slow movement. Right? Here sudden movement, example earthquake, volcano, landslide, and slow movement, building mountain. How mountains cannot occur all of a sudden. Right? Like volcano, earthquake, we cannot even estimate, we cannot imagine or forecast. All of a sudden it occur. But building of mountain is very slow process. Sudden movement like earthquake, volcano cause mass destruction over the earth surface. Here you can see picture of volcano. First let us see the definition of volcano. A volcano is a vent. Vent means an opening in the earth crust through which molten material erupt suddenly. Right? Now it is clear. So you can just notice. Here you can see a volcano from magma chamber. Right? In deep inside the core, continuously molten magma is moving in a circular motion. When this pressure increases, it comes up and it erupts. Right? Here you can see various part of the volcano. This is magma chamber, mantle, that crust, and here you can see that different vent. When this lava coming in a liquid form, it is a lava. From this crater you can find the smoke is coming out, gases are also coming out, right? So now we understand the definition. A volcano is a vent or opening in the earth crust through which molten material erupts suddenly. All of a sudden, when pressure, with the lots of pressure, it erupts directly and it make a hole on the earth surface and it quickly come out. That called volcano. Similarly, when the lithospheric plate moves, the surface of the earth vibrates. right here. Now they are giving the description of earthquake, but before we go to the earthquake, let us first understand this. Here in this side you can see endogenic, exogenic forces. Endogenic inside the earth, exogenic outside the earth. Okay, so here in your textbook they have not given very deep understanding of volcano, but I have brought one video for you, so you will get better understanding of volcano, how it erupt and what are the causes behind it. Okay, so let us watch this video, so you will get better understanding. Earthquake part we will do in next lesson. Okay student? Okay. Hope you clear with these two types of forces acted on the earth surface and volcano. Okay children, let's see this video.
In February of 1942, Mexican farmer Dionisio Pulido thought he heard thunder coming from his cornfield. However, the sound wasn't coming from the sky. The source was a large smoking crack emitting gas and ejecting rocks. This fissure would come to be known as the volcano Paracutin, and over the next 9 years, its lava and ash would cover over 200 square kilometers. But where did this new volcano come from, and what triggered its unpredictable eruption? The story of any volcano begins with magma. Often this molten rock forms in areas where ocean water is able to slip into the Earth's mantle and lower the layer's melting point. The resulting magma typically remains under the Earth's surface thanks to the delicate balance of three geological factors. The first is lithostatic pressure. This is the weight of the Earth's crust pushing down on the magma below. Magma pushes back with the second factor, magmastatic pressure. The battle between these forces strains the third factor, the rock strength of the Earth's crust. Usually, the rock is strong enough and heavy enough to keep the magma in place. But when this equilibrium is thrown off, the consequences can be explosive. One of the most common causes of an eruption is an increase in magmastatic pressure. Magma contains various elements and compounds, many of which are dissolved in the molten rock. At high enough concentrations, compounds like water or sulfur no longer dissolve, and instead form high-pressure gas bubbles. When these bubbles reach the surface, they can burst with the force of a gunshot. And when millions of bubbles explode simultaneously, the energy can send plumes of ash to the stratosphere. But before they pop, they act like bubbles of CO2 in a shaken soda. Their presence lowers the magma's density and increases the buoyant force pushing upward through the crust. Many geologists believe this process was behind the Paracutin eruption in Mexico. There are two known natural causes for these buoyant bubbles. Sometimes, new magma from deeper underground brings additional gassy compounds into the mix. But bubbles can also form when magma begins to cool. In its molten state, magma is a mixture of dissolved gases and melted minerals. As the molten rock hardens, some of those minerals solidify into crystals. This process doesn't incorporate many of the dissolved gases, resulting in a higher concentration of the compounds that form explosive bubbles. Not all eruptions are due to rising magmastatic pressure. Sometimes the weight of the rock above can become dangerously low. Landslides can remove massive quantities of rock from atop a magma chamber, dropping the lithostatic pressure and instantly triggering an eruption. This process is known as unloading, and it's been responsible for numerous eruptions, including the sudden explosion of Mount St. Helens in 1980. But unloading can also happen over longer periods of time due to erosion or melting glaciers. In fact, many geologists are worried that glacial melt caused by climate change could increase volcanic activity. Finally, eruptions can occur when the rock layer is no longer strong enough to hold back the magma below. Acidic gases and heat escaping from magma can corrode rock through a process called hydrothermal alteration, gradually turning hard stone into soft clay. The rock layer could also be weakened by tectonic activity. Earthquakes can create fissures, allowing magma to escape to the surface, and the Earth's crust can be stretched thin as continental plates shift away from each other. Unfortunately, knowing what causes eruptions doesn't make them easy to predict. While scientists can roughly determine the strength and weight of the Earth's crust, the depth and heat of magma chambers makes measuring changes in magmastatic pressure very difficult. But volcanologists are constantly exploring new technology to conquer this rocky terrain. Advances in thermal imaging have allowed scientists to detect subterranean hotspots. Spectrometers can analyze gases escaping magma, and lasers can precisely track the impact of rising magma on a volcano's shape. Hopefully, these tools will help us better understand these volatile vents and their explosive eruptions. Did you know that there's an even more explosive and destructive kind of volcano known as a supervolcano? 650,000 years ago, when the Yellowstone supervolcano last exploded, it covered North America in nearly 2 meters of ash and rock. Find out more about these epic eruptions with this video.